The year 1916 finds the world at war, but for Dr. Lily Houghton the real battle lies in a stuffy London boardroom, where women are barred from presenting their own research. She sits in the shadows, as her brother MacGregor presents her groundbreaking theories about the tears of the moon to the Royal Society. This mythical tree supposedly holds the power to cure any illness, heal any wound, and perhaps even lift supernatural curses. The old men in their pressed suits dismiss the research as fantasy, but Lily knows better. She has spent years studying ancient texts and artifacts, believing that somewhere deep in the Amazon rainforest lies a botanical miracle that could revolutionize medicine forever. The Tears of the Moon is no ordinary tree according to the legends passed down through generations. Also known as Lagrimas de Cristal, this ancient specimen blooms only under the crimson light of a blood moon, and its petals possess extraordinary healing properties. For Lily, the tree represents more than scientific discovery. It symbolizes hope for countless soldiers wounded in the Great War and civilians suffering from diseases that modern medicine cannot cure. But the Royal Society remains unconvinced, and when they deny her request to examine a recently acquired arrowhead artifact that could lead to the tree, Lily makes a decision that will change everything. The artifact in question is no ordinary piece of archaeological treasure. This intricately carved arrowhead bears symbols that Lily believes point directly to the location of the Tears of the Moon. The Royal Society has locked it away in their archives, considering it nothing more than a curiosity from some distant expedition. But Lily sees what others cannot. The markings on the artifact tell a story, and that story leads to the Amazon. In a moment of desperation and determination, she decides to steal the artifact, knowing full well that her actions could destroy her reputation forever. The theft itself proves more dangerous than anticipated when Prince Joachim, a German officer with his own sinister interest in the artifact, appears at the archive. Joachim represents the German war effort, and his pursuit of the Tears of the Moon has nothing to do with healing the sick. He believes the tree could provide Germany with an unstoppable advantage in the war, a supernatural weapon that could turn the tide of global conflict. As Lily makes her escape with the precious arrowhead, Joachim vows to follow her to the ends of the earth to claim the artifact for the fatherland. With the stolen artifact in hand, Lily and MacGregor flee London and book passage to South America. The journey across the Atlantic gives them time to study the arrowhead more closely, and Lily becomes increasingly convinced that the symbols represent a map. MacGregor remains skeptical about the entire enterprise, preferring the comfort of London society to the dangers of jungle exploration. He worries about his sister's obsession with the tree, and questions whether any botanical specimen could truly possess the miraculous properties she claimed. But Lily's determination proves infectious, and despite his reservations, MacGregor agrees to accompany her into the Amazon. Their arrival in South America marks the beginning of the real adventure as the siblings find themselves in a bustling Brazilian port town, where the Amazon River begins its winding journey into the heart of the rainforest. The town buzzes with activity as merchants, traders, and adventurers prepare for their own expeditions into the jungle. Riverboats of various sizes and conditions line the docks, their captains calling out to potential passengers and promising safe passage through the treacherous waters ahead. Among these colorful characters stands Frank Wolfe, a weathered riverboat captain whose vessel L'Aquila has seen better days. Frank operates what he generously calls jungle cruises for tourists seeking a taste of Amazon adventure without the genuine danger. His tours feature carefully orchestrated encounters with fake dangers, from mechanical hippos to staged attacks by friendly locals, pretending to be hostile natives. The performance includes a steady stream of corny jokes and puns that make his passengers groan but somehow keep them in. Frank has perfected this routine over years of guiding naive tourists through sanitized versions of jungle exploration. He knows every rock and current in his section of the river, and his boat, while appearing ramshackle on the surface, has been modified with hidden mechanisms that create the illusion of mortal peril. When Lily approaches Frank about hiring him for a genuine expedition deep into the Amazon, he initially refuses. The dangerous river and hostile jungle are no place for tourists, especially not a proper English lady and her foppish brother. Frank has seen too many adventurers swallowed by the rainforest, and he has no desire to add 2 more bodies to the jungle's grim tally. But everything changes when Lily shows him the arrowhead. Frank's demeanor shifts instantly, and his casual dismissal transforms into intense interest. He agrees to guide them, but his price reflects the true danger of their mission. The negotiations reveal Frank's shrewd business sense as he manipulates the price upward with each complication. When a leopard attacks McGregor in a restaurant, Frank heroically saves the day, only to reveal later that the leopard is his pet Proxima, and the entire incident was staged to justify raising his feet. This deception angers Lily, but she has little choice but to accept Frank's terms if she wants to reach the tiers of the moon. The trio finally departs the relative safety of the port town and begins their journey into the Amazon proper. Meanwhile, Prince Joachim has arrived in South America with his own agenda and considerable resource. Unlike the Houghtons, who must rely on a single riverboat, Captain Joachim commands a German submarine that allows him to navigate the Amazon River with military precision. His vessel remains hidden beneath the muddy waters, tracking the movements of other boats while remaining undetected. Joachim has studied the same legends that drive Lily's quest, but his interpretation focuses on the tree's potential as a weapon rather than a healing agent. He believes that whoever controls the tiers of the moon could command supernatural forces capable of ending the war in Germany's favor. As L'Aquila moves deeper into the Amazon, the landscape transforms from civilized riverbanks to primordial wilderness. Towering trees create a green canopy that blocks out much of the sunlight, while the river itself becomes a highway through an alien world. Frank continues his routine of jokes and staged encounters, but Lily begins to suspect that her guide harbors secrets of his own. She discovers photographs and sketches in his cabin that suggest a familiarity with modern inventions that seems inconsistent with his persona as a simple riverboat captain. More troubling are the research notes about the tiers of the moon that indicate Frank has his own interest in finding the mythical tree. The first real test of their partnership comes when they encounter what appears to be hostile natives. The Pukamakuna tribe emerges from the jungle armed and painted for war, creating genuine terror among the passengers. But the confrontation quickly reveals itself as another of Frank's elaborate ruses. The tribe's people are actually his employees paid to provide thrills for tourists seeking authentic jungle experiences. This deception infuriates Lily, who realizes that Frank has been manipulating her just as he manipulates his regular customers. She begins to question whether she can trust him to guide her to the real tiers of the moon, or if he will simply lead her on another fabricated adventure. The tribal chief, known as Trader Sam, proves to be a valuable ally despite the circumstances of their meeting. Sam is a woman of considerable wisdom and knowledge who has spent decades studying the ancient symbols and legends of the Amazon. She recognizes the arrowhead immediately and explains its true significance to Lily. The artifact is not merely a map, but a key that will unlock the location of the tiers of the moon when properly interpreted. According to Sam, the tree only blooms under the light of a blood moon, and even then for a very brief period. The timing must be perfect, or the opportunity will be lost for another cycle. Sam's translation of the arrowhead reveals that the artifact contains multiple layers of information. The surface symbols provide a general direction toward the tree's location, but hidden within the design are more specific details that can only be understood by someone with deep knowledge of ancient Amazonian culture. The arrowhead also contains warnings about the dangers that guard the tree. These are not ordinary perils of jungle travel, but supernatural threats that have protected the tiers of the moon for centuries. Sam speaks of cursed guardians and ancient magic that will test anyone who seeks to claim the tree's power. While Lily studies the arrowhead with growing excitement, Prince Joachim pursues his own dark agenda. He has located a hidden cave system where Spanish conquistadors from the 16th century remain trapped in a supernatural prison. These men, led by Don Lope de Aguirre, had originally sought the tiers of the moon for their own purposes. Aguirre's daughter lay dying, and he believed the tree could save her life. But their brutal methods and disregard for native peoples brought down a terrible curse upon them. The tribal chief they murdered with his dying breath condemned the conquistadors to remain bound to the Amazon forever, unable to leave the river's influence, and unable to die. Joachim understands that these cursed conquistadors possess knowledge about the tiers of the moon that could prove invaluable. Using water from the Amazon River, he partially revives the petrified Spaniards and strikes a bargain with their leader. Aguirre agrees to help Joachim find the arrowhead in exchange for a promise that the German will lift their curse once the tree is found. The alliance between a modern military officer and ancient conquistadors creates a formidable threat to Lily's expedition. Joachim diverts river water to flood the cave, completely reanimating Aguirre and his men. The process infuses them with elements of the rainforest itself, transforming them into monstrous beings that can command snakes, bees, and other jungle creatures. The reawakened conquistadors immediately set out to reclaim what they believe is rightfully theirs. Their centuries of imprisonment have not diminished their determination to find the tiers of the moon, but it has twisted them into something barely human. Édgar leads his men with the same ruthless determination that originally brought them to the Amazon, but now the determination is backed by supernatural power. They can manipulate the very jungle itself, turning trees into weapons and commanding wildlife to do their bidding. The Amazon becomes their ally in ways that no living person could achieve. As Frank's boat continues deeper into the river system, the passengers remain unaware of the supernatural forces gathering against them. Frank maintains his facade of cheerful tour guide, but Lily notices increasing signs of tension in his behavior. He seems to know more about the dangerous currents and hidden obstacles than any ordinary riverboat captain should. His knowledge of local legends and ancient history surpasses what would be expected from someone whose primary job involves entertaining tourists. Most puzzling of all, Frank appears genuinely invested in helping Lily find the tears of the moon, despite his earlier claims that such pursuits were foolish. The truth about Frank begins to emerge when Édgar and his conquistadors attack the tribal village. The assault comes without warning as the cursed Spaniards emerge from the jungle-like creatures from a nightmare. Snakes writhe from Édgar's body, while his men command swarms of insects and predatory animals. The peaceful Pucamacuna people who have lived in harmony with the rainforest for generations find themselves facing an enemy that perverts the very nature they worship. The conquistadors show no mercy as they search for the arrowhead, caring nothing for the innocent lives lost in their quest. During the chaos of the attack, Édgar confronts Frank directly. The conquistador leader seems to recognize the riverboat captain, though Frank appears to be decades younger than anyone who could have known Édgar in life. Their confrontation reveals a shared history that stretches back centuries. Édgar stabs Frank through the heart with his blade, expecting to claim an easy victory. But to everyone's amazement, Frank survives the mortal wound and soon reappears apparently unharmed. This impossible recovery forces Frank to reveal the truth about his own nature. Frank Wolf is not the simple riverboat captain he appears to be, but rather one of the original conquistadors who accompanied Édgar to the Amazon. Unlike his leader, Frank turned against the brutal methods used to force information from the native peoples. He sided with the Pucamacuna tribe and tried to protect them from Édgar's violence. When the tribal chief cursed the conquistadors, Frank was caught in the same supernatural trap that bound his former comrades. For centuries he has been tied to the Amazon River, unable to leave its influence and unable to age or die. The revelation of Frank's true nature explains many of the mysteries that have puzzled Lily throughout their journey. His extensive knowledge of the river and jungle comes from centuries of exploration. His familiarity with modern inventions results from watching the world change around him, while he remained trapped in the same ageless existence. His research into the tears of the moon represents not recent interest, but decades of searching for a way to break the curse that binds him. Frank has spent generations trying to find the tree, believing that its power might free him from his supernatural prison. Frank's betrayal of Édgar was motivated by genuine horror at his leader's cruelty. The Spanish expedition had originally been undertaken with noble intentions to save Édgar's dying daughter, but Édgar's desperation led him to increasingly violent methods. When the Pucamacuna chiefs to reveal the location of the tears of the moon, Édgar stabbed him and ordered the village burned. Frank could not stand by and watch innocent people suffer for their refusal to help foreign invaders. His intervention came too late to save the chief, but he managed to protect some of the villagers from further violence. The curse that trapped the conquistadors was both punishment and prison. The dying chief used his final breath to condemn the Spanish soldiers to an eternal existence, bound to the Amazon. They would become immortal but unable to leave the river's influence. If they tried to venture too far from the water, the jungle itself would drag them back. This supernatural tether ensured that they could never return to Spain or escape the scene of their crimes. For Édgar and most of his men, the curse became a source of endless frustration and rage. But for Frank, it provided an opportunity for redemption. After years of fighting among themselves, Frank devised a plan to trap his former comrades away from the river. He lured them into a cave system where distance from flowing water would petrify them, rendering them harmless to future generations. This act required enormous personal sacrifice because Frank knew that he too would eventually succumb to the same fate if he ever strayed too far from the Amazon. But he considered the safety of innocent people more important than his own freedom. For decades, Édgar and his men remained imprisoned in stone, while Frank continued his lonely existence on the river. Frank's decision to become a tour guide was born from his need to remain near the water while finding some purpose in his cursed existence. The arrival of tourists provided him with human contact and a way to earn money while staying close to the river. His elaborate ruses and staged dangers allowed him to create excitement without exposing anyone to real harm. Over time, Frank developed genuine affection for the Amazon and its people. He built relationships with local tribes and became a protector of the river ecosystem. His village grew into a thriving community where people of different backgrounds could live in harmony. The attack on the tribal village represents a personal failure for Frank, who had spent decades building trust with the Pukamachuna people. His decision to reveal the location of Trader Sam to Lily indirectly led to the assault when Édgar tracked them to the settlement. The guilt of bringing danger to his friends weighs heavily on Frank, as he realizes that his past continues to threaten innocent lives. The conquistadors show no mercy in their search for the arrowhead, destroying everything in their path. Many villagers who had welcomed Frank as a friend and protector die because of his association with the cursed artifact. Lily's reaction to Frank's revelation tests the growing bond between. Learning that her guide is actually a centuries-old conquistador challenges everything she thought she knew about him. The man who had seemed so modern and enlightened is revealed to be connected to the same Spanish conquest that brought suffering to indigenous peoples throughout the Americas. But Frank's actions in protecting the tribe and his obvious remorse for past mistakes help Lily understand that people can change even over the course of centuries. She begins to see Frank not as a relic of colonial oppression, but as someone who has spent lifetimes trying to atone for his mistakes. McGregor struggles more with the supernatural elements of their situation than with Frank's moral transformation. The proper English gentleman finds it difficult to accept that magic and curses exist in the modern world. His scientific education provides no framework for understanding immortal conquistadors or trees with healing powers. Yet the evidence before his eyes becomes impossible to deny. McGregor must abandon his rational worldview and accept that the Amazon operates according to different rules than London society. This mental adjustment proves almost as challenging as the physical dangers they face. With the truth revealed, Frank becomes a more effective guide as he no longer needs to hide his extensive knowledge of the Amazon. He knows the location of the Tears of the Moon because he has spent centuries searching for it. The tree grows in a hidden temple beneath La Luna Rota waterfall, where ancient builders created a sanctuary to protect the sacred plant. Frank has visited the site before, but never during a blood moon when the tree actually blooms. The timing of their current expedition coincides with the rare celestial event that will make their quest possible. The journey to La Luna Rota becomes a race against time as both the heroes and villains converge on the same destination. Joachim has captured McGregor and uses him as leverage to force Lily to reveal her destination. The German prince follows close behind with his submarine and his alliance with the conquistadors. Édgar leads his supernatural soldiers through the jungle, taking a more direct route that avoids the winding river. All parties understand that whoever reaches the tree first during the blood moon will control its power. The hidden temple beneath the waterfall represents one of the most impressive architectural achievements of ancient Amazonian civilization. The builders carved chambers and passages directly into the living rock, creating a sanctuary that has remained hidden for centuries. The temple's design incorporates astronomical calculations that align with the blood moon cycle. When the lunar eclipse reaches its peak, shafts of red light penetrate the temple's depths and illuminate the Tears of the Moon. The tree itself grows in the central chamber, its roots extending deep into the earth, while its branches reach toward openings in the stone ceiling. The temple also serves as the final resting place of ancient guardians who dedicated their lives to protecting the tree. These warriors died defending the sanctuary from previous invasions, and their spirits remain bound to the sacred site. The guardians do not distinguish between different types of intruders and will attack anyone who enters the temple with violent intentions. Only those who approach the tree with pure hearts and genuine need for its healing power have any hope of surviving the supernatural defense. Lily's first glimpse of the Tears of the Moon confirms everything she had hoped and more. The tree exceeds all her scientific expectations with its otherworldly beauty and obvious magical properties. Even without blooming, the plant radiates an aura of power that makes the air itself seem alive with potential. The tree's bark bears intricate natural patterns that match the symbols on the arrow. Its roots extend throughout the temple chamber, creating a network that seems to pulse with supernatural energy. When the blood moon finally reaches its peak and the tree begins to bloom, the sight takes Lily's breath away. The blooming process reveals the true nature of the arrowhead as more than just a map. The artifact is actually a locket that separates into two pieces, revealing a red gem inside. This gem serves as a key that must be inserted into carved recesses in the tree's bark. Only when both pieces are properly placed will the tree respond to the blood moon's light. The ancient builders designed this security measure to ensure that only someone with legitimate claim to the artifact could access the tree's power. The gem itself appears to be crystallized tree sap from an earlier blooming, suggesting that the tears of the moon has been harvested before by worthy seekers. The confrontation at the temple brings together all the various factions that have pursued the tree throughout the film. Lily and Frank arrive first, but Jaume and his forces are close behind. The German soldiers attempt to secure the temple, while Joachim demands that Lily activate the tree for him. Édgar and his conquistadors emerge from the jungle surrounding the temple and preparing for a final assault. The cursed Spaniards care nothing for Joachim's political ambitions and will kill anyone who stands between them and the tree that might break their supernatural bonds. The battle that follows showcases the different types of power wielded by each faction. Joachim's soldiers represent modern military might with their advanced weapons and tactical training. But their conventional advantages prove useless against supernatural enemies who cannot be killed by ordinary means. Édgar's conquistadors wield the power of the jungle itself, commanding animals and plants as weapons. Their centuries of experience make them formidable opponents, but their rage and desperation cloud their judgment. Frank fights with the knowledge gained from his long existence, while Lily uses her intelligence and determination to navigate the chaos. The temple's ancient defenses activate during the battle, adding another layer of danger to the confrontation. Stone guardians carved from the temple walls come to life and attack anyone who threatens the sacred tree. Pressure plates and hidden mechanisms trigger traps designed to eliminate intruders. The temple itself seems to respond to the violence by reshaping its passages and chambers to confuse and separate the various factions. These defenses do not distinguish between heroes and villains, treating all armed intruders as potential threats to the tears of the moon. During the chaos, Lily manages to activate the tree using the arrowhead key. The tears of the moon responds to the blood moon's light by producing a single perfect flower. The bloom contains all the healing power that legends attribute to the tree, concentrated into one small but miraculous blossom. Lily immediately understands that this flower represents hope for countless people suffering from illness and injury. The German soldiers prove no match for the supernatural forces they encounter. Most of them drown when Édgar's power over jungle creatures fills the temple chambers with deadly snakes and spiders. Joachim himself becomes trapped when Frank crashes his boat into the temple structure. The collision blocks the river's flow into the temple, but also triggers a collapse that crushes the German prince beneath falling stone. His alliance with the conquistadors dies with him, leaving Édgar and his men as the primary threat to Lily's mission. Frank's sacrifice saves Lily, but costs him his immortal existence. By blocking the river, he cuts himself off from the flowing water that has sustained his cursed life for centuries. The distance from the Amazon's current begins to petrify him, just as it did his former comrades when he trapped them in their cave. Frank willingly accepts this fate, knowing that his actions will prevent the conquistadors from claiming the tree's power. His love for Lily gives him the strength to make this ultimate sacrifice. The sight of Frank turning to stone galvanizes Lily's resolve to save him. She realizes that the flower she has fought so hard to obtain can serve a greater purpose than advancing medical science. The tears of the moon's power to lift curses offers the only hope of freeing Frank from his supernatural bonds. Without hesitation, Lily uses the precious bloom to break the curse that has trapped Frank for centuries. Her sacrifice demonstrates that love and compassion matter more than scientific achievement or personal glory. The curse's lifting affects not only Frank, but all the conquistadors who shared his supernatural fate. Édgar and his men finally find the release from immortal torment that they have sought for centuries. But their freedom comes at the cost of their lives, as the magic that sustained them dissipates. They crumble to dust, acknowledging Frank's nobility in their final moments. The Amazon reclaims the temple as nature reasserts its dominance over the ancient sanctuary. Frank's return to mortal life represents both an ending and a beginning. He has lost his immortality, but gained the freedom to leave the Amazon and build a future with Lily. The man who spent centuries trapped by his past can finally move forward and create new memories. His transformation from cursed conquistador to redeemed lover demonstrates the power of personal growth and the possibility of overcoming even the greatest mistakes. The moon's final rays produce one last flower before the blood moon cycle ends. This bloom provides Lily with the specimen she needs for her research, ensuring that her expedition was not entirely in vain. She can return to England with proof that the tears of the moon exists and begin developing medical applications for its healing properties. The tree's power will benefit humanity through scientific advancement rather than supernatural manipulation. The journey back to civilization gives the survivors time to process their incredible Frank must adjust to mortality after centuries of immortal existence. The simple act of aging and feeling vulnerable again requires significant mental adaptation. Lily helps him understand modern technology and social customs that have changed since his original lifetime. McGregor struggles to reconcile his orderly worldview with the magical events he has witnessed. Frank's decision to sell his riverboat business and leave the Amazon represents a complete break with his past. The man who was once trapped by supernatural forces now chooses freedom and the unknown future it offers. Their return to London marks the beginning of a new chapter for both characters. Lily achieves her goal of becoming a full professor at Cambridge University, where she can pursue her research into botanical medicine. Her success breaks down barriers for other women in science and validates her unconventional methods. Frank adapts to urban life and begins learning to navigate the modern world. His centuries of experience provide wisdom, but he must also master contemporary skills like driving automobiles. The movie's final scenes show Lily and Frank exploring London together as equals. She teaches him practical skills while he shares knowledge gained from his extraordinary life. Their partnership represents a blend of scientific achievement and personal fulfillment. McGregor's rejection of the Royal Society's invitation on his sister's behalf demonstrates his growth from snobby aristocrat to loyal supporter. The Jungle Cruise movie succeeds as both adventure entertainment and character study. Director Jaume Collet-Serra creates a world where magical realism feels natural and supernatural elements enhance rather than overshadow the human story. The film's tone balances humor and genuine emotion while maintaining excitement throughout its substantial runtime. Visual effects support the narrative without overwhelming it, creating believable jungle environments and convincing supernatural creatures. Dwayne Johnson's performance as Frank Wolf demonstrates his range beyond typical action hero roles. The character requires both physical comedy and emotional depth, as Frank evolves from cynical tour guy to romantic. Johnson handles the transition smoothly, making Frank's centuries of experience believable while maintaining his essential humanity. His chemistry with Emily Blunt provides the film's emotional core and drives much of the plot development. Emily Blunt brings intelligence and determination to Dr. Lily Houghton, creating a female protagonist who drives the action rather than simply reacting to events. Lily's scientific background influences her approach to magical situations, and her willingness to sacrifice personal glory for greater good defines her character. Blunt's performance balances strength and vulnerability, making Lily both admirable. The supporting cast adds depth and color to the adventure. Jack Whitehall provides comic relief as McGregor, while showing genuine character growth throughout the story. Édgar Ramírez creates a memorable villain in Aguirre, combining historical authenticity with supernatural menace. Jesse Plemons brings Prussian efficiency and cold calculation to Prince Joachim. Paul Giamatti appears briefly but memorably as the port town's harbormaster. The film's production design creates an immersive Amazon environment that feels both exotic and believable. Filming locations in Hawaii provide lush jungle backgrounds, while practical sets and props ground the fantasy elements in physical reality. The costume design accurately reflects the period setting, while allowing for action sequences. James Newton Howard's musical score enhances emotional moments and builds tension during action scenes. Visual effects work supports the story without calling attention to itself. The supernatural conquistadors blend practical makeup with digital enhancements, creating creatures that feel tangible and threatening. The jungle environments combine real locations with digital extensions, expanding the scope without losing authenticity. The Tears of the Moon Tree itself represents a successful merger of practical and digital artistry. Quiet moments on the riverboat let audiences connect with the protagonists while building anticipation for upcoming adventures. The escalating threats create natural story progression from minor obstacles to supernatural showdowns. The climactic temple sequence provides satisfying resolution to multiple character arcs. Jungle Cruise draws inspiration from classic adventure films while creating its own identity. Elements of Pirates of the Caribbean and Indiana Jones appear throughout, but the Amazon setting and supernatural themes distinguish this story. The film's connection to the Disney theme park ride provides nostalgic value without constraining the narrative. Modern sensibilities about colonial history inform the portrayal of indigenous peoples. Avoiding themes of redemption and personal growth resonate beyond the adventure framework. Frank's centuries-long journey from conquistador to hero demonstrates the possibility of overcoming past mistakes. Lily's struggle against gender discrimination reflects historical realities while inspiring contemporary audiences. The film suggests that scientific progress and personal relationships can coexist and strengthen each other. Humor plays an important role in maintaining audience engagement during extended. Frank's terrible puns and staged tourist attractions provide comic relief without undermining dramatic tension. The comedy emerges naturally from character interactions rather than forced sight gags. Even supernatural elements receive humorous treatment when appropriate, balancing scares with laughs. The romance between Frank and Lily develops organically through shared danger and mutual respect. The age difference created by Frank's immortality adds complexity without becoming problematic. Their final union represents personal choice rather than narrative convenience. Action sequences escalate logically from Frank's stage tour dangers to genuine supernatural threats. Early boat chases and animal encounters establish the character's capabilities before introducing magical elements. The temple battle brings together all story threads. Each action beat serves character development as well as entertainment value. The film's environmental themes emerge through the portrayal of the Amazon as a living entity deserving protection. The conquistador's corruption of nature through supernatural means represents colonial exploitation. Frank's redemption involves learning to work with rather than against the natural world. Technical craftsmanship throughout the production maintains professional standards expected of major studio releases. Cinematography captures both intimate character moments and sweeping jungle vistas. Editing maintains narrative momentum while allowing time for emotional beats. Sound design creates an immersive Amazon environment filled with authentic wildlife, sounds, and environmental details. Some comedic moments overstay their welcome, while certain plot developments feel inevitable rather than surprising. The supernatural elements require significant suspension of disbelief that may challenge some viewers. Action sequences sometimes rely too heavily on digital effects at the expense of practical stunts. Despite these minor issues, Jungle Cruise succeeds as entertaining adventure cinema. The film provides thrills, excitement, humor, and heart in proportions that satisfy family audiences. Its connection to Disney theme park heritage adds nostalgic value for visitors while standing alone as complete narrative. The movie demonstrates that original adventure stories can still find audiences in an era dominated by franchise filmmaking. The cultural impact of Jungle Cruise extends beyond box office performance to influence representations of adventure cinema. The film's success proved audience appetite for non-franchise adventures featuring diverse casts. Its portrayal of strong female scientists provides positive role models for young viewers. The movie's handling of colonial themes shows how modern filmmakers can address problematic historical periods. Production challenges during the COVID-19 pandemic affected the film's release strategy and marketing approach. These circumstances influenced audience reception and box office performance, making traditional success metrics difficult to interpret. The movie's blend of practical and digital filmmaking represents current industry standards for adventure cinema. Location shooting provides authentic backgrounds, while studio work allows for controlled supernatural elements. The balance between real and artificial creates believable fantasy worlds that support Jungle Cruise establishes foundations for potential sequels while providing complete story resolution. The main character's relationship reaches satisfying conclusion while leaving room for future adventures. Supporting characters and world-building elements could support expanded storytelling. The film's ending suggests new directions for Frank and Lily's partnership. The movie's educational potential extends to topics including botanical science, historical exploration. Lily's research methods demonstrate scientific methodology while acknowledging limitations of empirical knowledge. Frank's backstory illustrates consequences of colonial exploitation while showing possibilities for redemption. The Amazon setting highlights biodiversity and ecological importance of rainforest environments. Character arcs throughout the film demonstrate classic storytelling principles, while avoiding predictable outcomes. Frank's formation from cynical Lily's evolution from determined scientist to sacrificing lover shows how personal growth can change priorities. McGregor's development from pampered aristocrat to capable adventurer provides comic relief with genuine substance. The film's portrayal of supernatural elements maintains internal consistency, while avoiding excessive explanation. The conquistador curse follows established rules about proximity to water and magical boundaries. The Tears of the Moon operates according to astronomical cycles that create natural dramatic tension. These fantasy elements feel grounded in the story world rather than arbitrary plot devices. Visual storytelling throughout Jungle Cruise uses color lighting and composition to enhance narrative themes. The contrast between London's gray formality and the Amazon's vibrant life emphasizes Lily's journey from constraint to freedom. Frank's boat serves as mobile sanctuary amid jungle dangers while reflecting his personality through decoration and condition. The temple sequence uses architectural grandeur to emphasize the tree's sacred importance. The movie's sound design creates immersive environments that support both realistic and supernatural elements. Ambient jungle sounds provide authentic background atmosphere, while magical effects use distinctive audio signatures. Character dialogue remains clear during action. Musical themes for different characters and locations help audiences navigate complex plot developments. Costume design reflects historical periods, while accommodating action requirements. Lily's practical expedition clothing shows character intelligence while maintaining period authenticity. Frank's weathered boat captain appearance suggests long experience while hiding his true nature. The conquistador's deteriorated armor and supernatural modifications create memorable. The film's editing maintains narrative pace while allowing character moments to develop naturally. Action sequences use quick cuts to build excitement without becoming incomprehensible. Quieter scenes receive longer takes that let actors develop relationships and emotional connections. Transitions between different locations and time periods provide clear story progression. Jungle Cruise demonstrates how modern adventure films can honor genre traditions while addressing. The movie's environmental themes reflect current awareness of ecological issues. Its portrayal of gender equality shows progress beyond earlier adventure films. The treatment of indigenous peoples avoids stereotypes while acknowledging historical injustices. The film's commercial performance validated Disney's strategy of adapting theme park attractions into feature films. Success encouraged development of similar projects while proving that original stories could compete with established franchises. The movie's popularity influenced casting decisions and production approaches for subsequent adventure films. International distribution of Jungle Cruise demonstrated global appeal of adventure cinema featuring diverse casts. The film's themes of scientific discovery and personal redemption translate across cultural boundaries. Its supernatural elements provide universal entertainment value, while respecting different cultural approaches to magic and folk. The movie's influence on tourism to Amazon regions reflects cinema's power to inspire real-world exploration. Responsible travel messaging within the film encourages environmental awareness among potential visitors. The portrayal of indigenous cultures promotes respectful interactions between tourists, attempting to balance humor. Jungle Cruise establishes benchmark. The movie demonstrates how skilled filmmaking can elevate familiar story elements into engaging entertainment. The film's legacy includes inspiration for theme park attractions updated to reflect movie characters and storylines. These attractions create new experiences for visitors, while honoring the ride's historical significance. The integration of film and theme park properties demonstrates Disney's multimedia approach to entertainment. Educational applications of Jungle Cruise extend to multiple academic disciplines including history, botany, geography, and film studies. The movie provides discussion topics about colonialism, scientific method, environmental conservation, and gender equality. Its entertainment value makes serious subjects accessible to younger audiences. The film's representation of disabled characters through McGregor's implied sexuality adds diversity. The character's development throughout the story demonstrates that supporting roles can carry significant thematic weight. Jungle Cruise proves that well-crafted adventure stories remain relevant in contemporary cinema. The film's success encourages production of similar original properties, while showing how classic genres can evolve. Its blend of practical and digital filmmaking establishes standards for future adventure products. The movie's portrayal of scientific research emphasizes observation, experimentation, and ethical consideration of consequences. Lily's methods demonstrate how personal conviction must balance with professional responsibility. Her willingness to sacrifice discovery for human welfare provides a positive example of scientific ethics. Frank's character development illustrates how individuals can overcome historical legacies through personal choice and action. The character's evolution from conquistador to protector shows how perspective and values can change over time. The film's environmental message emphasizes cooperation between humans and nature, rather than domination. The Amazon's portrayal as living entity deserving respect challenges exploitation attitudes. The Tears of the Moon represents nature's healing potential when approached with proper understanding. Jungle Cruise establishes new directions for Disney's live-action adventure films while honoring the studio's entertainment traditions. The movie's success validates investment in original stories based on theme park properties. Its approach to balancing humor and drama influences subsequent productions in similar genres. The film's international casting demonstrates Hollywood's growing recognition of global audience preferences. Spanish actor Édgar Ramírez brings authenticity to the conquistador role while expanding representation. The diverse cast reflects contemporary values while serving narrative requirements. Technical achievements in Jungle Cruise advance digital filmmaking capabilities for adventure cinema. The integration of practical and computer-generated elements creates seamless fantasy environments. The innovations influence industry standards for similar productions. The simultaneous theatrical and digital availability tested new distribution models. Results influenced industry approaches to future film releases. Jungle Cruise concludes as successful entertainment that achieves its goals of providing adventure, romance, humor, and meaningful themes. The film demonstrates how skilled craftsmanship can elevate familiar story elements into engaging cinema. Its success validates continued investment in original adventure stories while showing hope. The film's exploration of gender dynamics extends beyond Lily's struggles in the academic world to examine how adventure narratives traditionally exclude women from heroic roles. Lily's character challenges these conventions by demonstrating both intellectual capability and physical courage throughout the journey. Her scientific training provides practical solutions to problems that brute force cannot solve. When the expedition encounters dangerous rapids, Frank's knowledge of the river combines with Lily's understanding of physics and engineering to navigate safely through treacherous waters. This partnership establishes equality between the characters, rather than relegating Lily to a passive role, requiring constant rescue. The relationship between Frank and his pet leopard Proxima reveals another layer of the character's complexity and his connection to the Proxima serves as both companion and business partner in Frank's elaborate tourist deceptions, but their bond goes deeper than mere utility. The leopard's presence demonstrates Frank's ability to form genuine relationships with the creatures of the rainforest. Over centuries of existence, Frank has learned to communicate with and understand animals in ways that normal humans cannot achieve. This connection reflects his gradual transformation from Spanish conquistador to guardian of the Amazon ecosystem. Frank's riverboat L'Aquila represents more than simple transportation but functions as a character in its own right throughout the adventure. The vessel bears the scars and modifications of decades spent navigating dangerous waters while maintaining a facade of tourist safety. Hidden compartments contain spare parts and emergency secret mechanisms allow him to create dramatic effects for passengers, while genuine defensive measures protect against real threats. The boat's weathered appearance masks sophisticated engineering that reflects Frank's centuries of experience with both Spanish colonial technology and modern innovations. The port town where Lily and McGregor begin their Amazon journey bustles with activity that reflects the cultural melting pot of early 20th century South America. European colonists mingle with indigenous traders, while American fortune seekers negotiate with local guides for passage into the interior. The town serves as a crossroads where different worlds meet and sometimes clash over competing interests in the rainforest resources. Street vendors sell exotic foods and handmade crafts while dock workers load supplies onto boats heading upstream. The atmosphere combines excitement and danger as adventurers prepare. Trader Sam's establishment functions as neutral ground where people from different backgrounds can gather safely to share information and conduct business. Her extensive knowledge of Amazon legends and ancient artifacts makes her invaluable to serious explorers seeking more than tourist thrills. Sam has spent decades collecting stories and specimens from throughout the river system, building an archive of indigenous knowledge that would otherwise be lost to colonial destruction. Her translations of ancient symbols provide crucial guidance for Lily's quest, while her warnings about supernatural dangers prove prophetic. The Pucamicuna tribe's history with Spanish conquistadors adds depth to the film's exploration of colonial violence and its lasting consequences. These people have maintained their cultural traditions despite centuries of pressure from European settlers and missionaries. Their knowledge of the Tears of the Moon comes from ancestral memories passed down through generations of oral tradition. The tribe's shamans understand that the tree's power must be approached with proper respect and ceremony rather than simply harvested like any other resource. Their willingness to help Lily reflects recognition that her intentions differ from those of previous European seekers. Prince Joachim's submarine represents the pinnacle of German military engineering adapted for river navigation in ways that showcase the country's technological sophistication during World War I. The vessel operates silently beneath the Amazon's muddy waters, allowing Joachim to track other boats without detection. Advanced periscope systems provide surveillance capabilities, while torpedo tubes offer devastating firepower against surface targets. The submarine's presence in South American waters demonstrates Germany's global reach and willingness to pursue strategic advantages in remote locations far from European battlefields. The Conquistador's original expedition to the Amazon began with noble intentions that gradually corrupted into violence and exploitation. Édgar represented genuine motivation, but the Spanish soldiers' unfamiliarity with jungle conditions and their cultural prejudices against indigenous peoples led to increasingly desperate measures. When diplomacy failed to secure native cooperation, Édgar authorized torture and murder to extract information about the tree's location. These atrocities brought down the supernatural curse that trapped the expedition members in immortal punishment. The supernatural curse that binds the conquistadors to the Amazon operates according to specific magical rules that maintain internal story consistency. Distance from flowing river water causes gradual petrification as the cursed individuals lose connection to the life force that sustains their immortal existence. This limitation prevents them from leaving the Amazon basin to return to Spain or pursue conquests elsewhere. The curse also grants them power over jungle creatures and plant life, but only within the rainforest's boundaries. These supernatural abilities come at the cost of their essential humanity, as centuries of imprisonment twist their personalities toward obsession and rage. Frank's centuries of existence provide him with unique perspectives on historical changes that normal humans cannot experience. He has witnessed the rise and fall of colonial empires, the coming of industrial technology, and the gradual transformation of the Amazon from pristine wilderness to contested resource. His immortal viewpoint allows him to see patterns and consequences that escape mortal observers focused on immediate concerns. This long-term perspective influences his decision to become a protector, rather than exploiter, of the rainforest. The mechanical hippos and other fake dangers in Frank's tourist cruises represent elaborate engineering projects that demonstrate his creativity and technical skills. These contraptions must function reliably while appearing genuinely threatening to passengers seeking authentic jungle thrills. Frank has perfected the timing and choreography of each staged encounter to maximize dramatic impact without causing actual harm. The mechanical creatures require regular maintenance and occasional upgrades as Frank incorporates new technologies into his deceptive arsenal. These devices also serve as backup defenses against real threats when tourist groups encounter genuine dangers. La Luna Rota waterfall cascades down from ancient highlands, where geological forces have carved spectacular formations over millions of years. The hidden temple beneath the falls represents one of the Amazon's most closely guarded secrets, accessible only to those who understand the cryptic directions encoded in artifacts like Lily's arrowhead. The waterfall's mist creates rainbow effects that ancient builders incorporated into their architectural designs. During blood moon eclipses, the lunar light combines with falling water to create supernatural phenomena that activate the temple's mystical properties. The temple's construction required engineering skills that rival modern capabilities despite being completed with primitive tools and techniques. Ancient builders carved channels and chambers directly into living rock, creating a sanctuary that has withstood centuries of geological and climatic changes. The temple's astronomical alignments demonstrate sophisticated understanding of celestial mechanics that allowed precise calculation of blood moon cycles. Hidden mechanisms throughout the structure respond to specific triggers, including the insertion of the arrowhead key into its designated receptacle. The tears of the moon tree itself represents a botanical impossibility that exists at the intersection of science and magic. Its root system extends throughout the temple complex, creating a network that seems to pulse with supernatural energy. The tree's bark displays natural patterns that match ancient symbols found on artifacts throughout the Amazon region. When blooming conditions align with celestial events, the tree produces flowers that contain concentrated healing properties capable of curing any disease or lifting supernatural curses. The brief blooming period creates dramatic urgency for anyone seeking to harvest the tree's power. The temple's guardian spirits manifest as stone warriors that come to life when intruders threaten the sacred tree. These supernatural defenders do not distinguish between different motivations, treating all armed visitors as potential threats to their ancient charge. The Guardians possess strength and resilience that exceed human capabilities while retaining tactical intelligence developed during their mortal life. Only those who approach the tree with pure intentions and genuine need for healing have any hope of surviving the Guardians' supernatural defenses. The blood moon eclipse that enables the tree's blooming creates spectacular visual effects as crimson light penetrates the temple's carefully designed openings. Ancient builders calculated precise angles and apertures that channel moonlight to illuminate the sacred chamber at the moment of maximum eclipse. The red lunar glow transforms the entire temple interior, creating an otherworldly atmosphere that enhances the tree's magical properties. This celestial event occurs rarely enough to make each blooming opportunity precious and irreplaceable. The arrowhead artifact's dual nature as both map and key reflects sophisticated ancient craftsmanship that embedded multiple layers of information within a single object. Surface symbols provide general directions toward the tree's location, while hidden details reveal specific navigation landmarks. The artifact separates into two pieces containing a crystallized gem that serves as the actual key to unlocking the tree's power. This security measure ensures that only someone with legitimate claim to both artifact pieces can access the tears of the moon during its blooming period. The final battle at the temple brings together military technology, supernatural powers, and ancient defenses in a chaotic confrontation that tests each faction's capabilities. German soldiers, with modern weapons, find their advantages negated by enemies who cannot be killed through conventional means. The conquistadors' control over jungle creatures turns the natural environment into a weapon against their opponent. Temple guardians activate to defend the sacred site regardless of the political motivations driving the various human factions. Environmental hazards, including collapsing structures and rising water levels, add additional dangers to an already desperate situation. Frank's ultimate sacrifice demonstrates the depth of his transformation from selfish conquistador to selfless protector, willing to give up immortality for love. His decision to block the river and cut himself off from the life-sustaining water that maintains his cursed existence represents the final step in centuries of moral evolution. The act saves Lily and prevents the tree's power from falling into the wrong hands, but costs Frank the immortal life that has defined his existence for so long. Lily's choice to use the precious flower to save Frank rather than advance her scientific research reveals how personal relationships can transform individual priorities. The woman who began the journey seeking botanical specimens to revolutionize medicine ultimately values human connection more than professional achievement. Her sacrifice demonstrates that some discoveries matter less than the people who make them possible. The decision also shows how love can inspire acts of selflessness that transcend rational calculation of costs and benefits. The curse's lifting affects all the conquistadors simultaneously, as the magical bonds that held them in immortal torment finally dissolve. Édgar and his men find the release from supernatural punishment that they have sought for centuries, but their freedom comes at the ultimate cost of the magic that sustained their immortal lives dissipates, leaving them to crumble into dust after acknowledging Frank's nobility and choosing love over revenge. Their deaths represent both justice for past crimes and mercy for souls that suffered long enough to understand their mistakes. Frank's return to mortality brings both opportunities and challenges, as he must adapt to a human existence he has not experienced for centuries. The simple prospect of aging and eventual death requires significant psychological adjustment after immortal life bound to the Amazon River. Physical sensations like fatigue, hunger, and vulnerability feel foreign to someone who spent decades immune to such mortal concerns. But mortality also brings freedom to leave the river's influence and build a future with Lily beyond the jungle that had been both prison and Bill. The tree's final blooming produces one additional flower that provides Lily with the botanical specimen she needs for legitimate scientific research. This last gift ensures that her expedition achieves its original goal while respecting the sacrifice she made to save Frank. The flower contains enough healing properties to begin developing medical applications that could benefit countless people suffering from diseases and injury. The specimen represents hope for future breakthroughs that will improve human health through scientific advancement, rather than supernatural manipulation. McGregor's character development throughout the adventure transforms him from pampered aristocrat to capable expedition member who understands the value of loyalty and courage. His initial reluctance to leave London's comforts gives way to genuine appreciation for the Amazon's natural wonders and its indigenous culture. The supernatural elements of their quest challenge his rational worldview but ultimately expand his understanding of reality's complexity. His growth from snobby gentleman to supportive brother demonstrates how challenging experiences can reveal hidden strength and compassion. The journey back to civilization provides time for processing the extraordinary events that transformed all the survivors in different ways. Frank must learn to navigate modern society as a mortal man after centuries of immortal existence bound to a single river system. Lily helps him understand technological advances and social changes that occurred during his supernatural imprisonment. Their partnership evolves from professional necessity to romantic partnership, based on mutual respect and shared experience of impossible dangers overcome through cooperation. The film's portrayal of indigenous peoples avoids stereotypical representations by showing complex societies with rich cultural traditions and sophisticated understanding of their environment. The Puka-Mikuna tribe maintains spiritual connections to the rainforest while adapting to changes brought by colonial contact. Trader Sam. These characters demonstrate that native peoples are not primitive relics, but dynamic communities that balance tradition with adaptation. The Amazon rainforest itself functions as a character throughout the film, with its vast biodiversity and mysterious depths creating both beauty and danger for human visitors. The jungle environment challenges characters to adapt their expectations and methods to unfamiliar conditions where conventional wisdom. Rivers serve as highways through green wilderness while also hiding supernatural secrets that European explorers cannot comprehend. The rainforest's portrayal emphasizes both its ecological importance and its resistance to exploitation by outside forces seeking to extract its resources. The film's environmental themes emerge through contrasts between exploitation and conservation as different characters approach the Amazon with varying degrees of respect. The conquistadors represent colonial attitudes that view the rainforest as a resource to be conquered and harvested, regardless of consequences for indigenous peoples or ecological balance. Frank's evolution from conquistador to protector demonstrates how understanding and appreciation can replace domination and exploitation. The Tears of the Moon itself embodies nature's healing potential when approached with proper respect rather than greedy. The movie's humor emerges naturally from character interactions and situational comedy rather than forced jokes that undermine dramatic tension. Frank's terrible puns and elaborate tourist deceptions provide comic relief while revealing his personality and centuries of experience. McGregor's culture shock upon encountering Amazon realities creates humor through his reactions to unfamiliar situations. Even supernatural elements receive occasional humorous treatment that balances fear with laughter, without diminishing the genuine threats faced by the protagonists. The romance between Frank and Lily develops through shared danger and mutual respect rather than conventional romantic formulas that prioritize attraction over compatibility. The centuries of age difference created by Frank's immortality adds complexity without becoming problematic, as both characters possess maturity and life experience that bridges the temporal gap. Their final union represents choice rather than narrative inevitability. The film's production design creates believable Amazon environments that balance exotic appeal with authentic detail drawn from extensive research into rainforest. Practical sets and locations provide tangible backgrounds for action sequences, while digital extensions expand the scope, without losing environmental authenticity. Costume design reflects historical periods, while accommodating the physical demands of adventure sequences. The overall visual approach supports the story's magical reality. The movie's themes of redemption and personal growth resonate across cultural boundaries by exploring universal human experiences of guilt, forgiveness, and the possibility of change. Frank's centuries-long journey from conquistador to hero demonstrates that people can overcome past mistakes through genuine remorse and dedicated effort to make amends. Lily's struggle against gender discrimination reflects historical realities, while the film suggests that scientific progress and personal relationships can coexist and strengthen each other rather than competing for priority. The technical craftsmanship throughout Jungle Cruise maintains professional standards expected of major studio productions while serving the story's narrative requirements. Cinematography captures both intimate character moments. Cinematography captures jungle vistas, using lighting and composition to enhance emotional impact. Sound design creates immersive environments that support both realistic and supernatural elements without overwhelming dialogue or musical score. The film's cultural impact extends beyond entertainment to influence discussions about representation, diversity, and historical responsibility in mainstream cinema. Its success demonstrates audience appetite for adventure stories featuring strong female protagonists and diverse cast. The movie's handling of colonial themes shows how modern filmmakers can address problematic historical periods while avoiding both exploitation and oversimplification. These approaches influence industry standards for similar productions attempting to balance entertainment with social awareness. Jungle Cruise establishes foundations for potential franchise development, while providing complete story resolution that satisfies audiences without requiring sequels. The main character's relationship reaches fulfilling conclusion while leaving room for future adventures in different settings. Supporting characters and world-building elements could support expanded storytelling that explores other aspects of the Amazon's mysteries or Frank and Lily's continuing partnership. The film's ending suggests new directions for their relationship, while closing the specific quest that drove the original narrative. The movie's educational potential encompasses multiple academic disciplines including botany, history, geography, anthropology, and film studies. Lily's research methods demonstrate scientific methodology while acknowledging the limitations of empirical knowledge when confronting supernatural phenomena. Frank's backstory illustrates the consequences of colonial exploitation, while showing possibilities for redemption and cultural understanding. The film's representation of scientific research emphasizes ethical considerations alongside technical methodology, as Lily must balance professional ambition with moral responsibility. Her willingness to sacrifice personal achievement for human welfare provides positive examples of scientific ethics that prioritize social benefit over individual recognition. These themes remain relevant to contemporary debates about research ethics and the social responsibilities of scientists. Frank's character development illustrates how individuals cannot escape historical legacies but can choose how to respond to past actions through present behavior. His redemption arc demonstrates that genuine change requires acknowledging mistakes, accepting responsibility, and dedicating oneself to making amends through constructive action. The character's evolution from conquistador to protector shows how perspective and values can transform over time when individuals remain open to growth and learning. These themes apply to both personal development and broader social issues involving historical injustice and contemporary responsibility. The film's environmental message emphasizes cooperation between humans and nature, rather than domination or exploitation. As the Amazon's portrayal as a living entity deserving respect challenges attitudes that view wilderness areas merely as resources to be extracted or obstacles to be overcome. The Tears of the Moon represents nature's healing potential when approached with proper understanding and reverence, rather than greedy exploitation. These themes connect to contemporary environmental movements, advocating for conservation and sustainable development practices. The visual storytelling throughout Jungle Cruise employs sophisticated cinematographic techniques that enhance narrative themes while creating immersive viewing experiences for audiences of different ages and cultural backgrounds. Camera movements follow the characters' emotional journeys from the constrained formal spaces of London society to the expansive freedom of the Amazon wilderness. Wide establishing shots emphasize the rainforest's overwhelming scale and beauty. The contrast between London's gray industrial atmosphere and the Amazon's vibrant natural colors reinforces Lily's personal transformation from academic constraint to adventurous discovery. The film's sound design creates multi-layered audio environments that support both realistic and supernatural story elements without overwhelming dialogue or character development. Ambient jungle sounds provide authentic background atmosphere featuring actual recording. The supernatural conquistadors receive distinctive audio signatures that blend human voices with otherworldly elements suggesting their corrupted nature. Musical themes for different characters and locations help audiences navigate complex plot developments while building emotional connections to the protagonists and their quest. Costume design throughout the production reflects careful historical research while accommodating the practical demands of extensive action sequence. Lily's expedition clothing demonstrates both period authenticity and character intelligence as she chooses practical garments suitable for jungle exploration rather than fashionable but impractical Victorian dress. Frank's weathered boat captain appearance suggests decades of river experience, while concealing hints of his true supernatural nature. The conquistadors' deteriorated armor and organic modifications create memory. The film's editing maintains narrative pace through careful balance of action sequences and character development moments that allow audiences to process complex plot revelations and emotional beats. Quick cuts during battle scenes build excitement without becoming incomprehensible, while longer takes during quieter moments let actors develop relationships and emotional connections. Transitions between different locations and time periods. The overall rhythm supports the adventure genre, while allowing space for romance comedy and meaningful themes to develop naturally. Production challenges during the extensive location shooting required innovative solutions that demonstrate the filmmaking team's dedication to creating authentic Amazon environments. Hawaiian filming locations provided lush jungle backgrounds that convincingly represent the South American rainforest while offering practical advantages for crew safety and equipment transport. Practical sets built in studio environments allowed for controlled supernatural elements while maintaining visual consistency with outdoor locations. The integration of real and artificial environments creates believable fantasy worlds that support the story's magical realism, without calling attention to technical limitations. The movie's international distribution strategy recognized the global appeal of adventure cinema, featuring diverse casts and universal themes of love, redemption, and personal growth. Dubbing and subtitle translations preserved the humor and emotional impact across different languages, while cultural consultants ensured that indigenous representations remained respectful in various international markets. The film's themes of scientific discovery and environmental protection translate effectively across cultural boundaries, while its supernatural elements provide entertainment value that transcends specific cultural approaches to magic and folk. Frank's relationship with the Amazon ecosystem extends beyond simple survival to encompass genuine understanding and appreciation of the rainforest's complex interconnected systems. His centuries of existence have taught him to recognize seasonal patterns, weather changes, and animal behaviors that help him navigate dangers and opportunities throughout the river system. The knowledge allows him to work with rather than against natural forces while creating his elaborate tourist entertainments and protecting genuine explorers from real threats. This ecological wisdom reflects his gradual transformation from colonial exploiter to environmental guardian. The port town's diverse population represents the cultural mixing that characterized South American frontier communities during the early 20th century as people from different backgrounds converged seeking opportunity. European immigrants brought industrial technologies and capital, while indigenous traders contributed knowledge of local conditions and resources. American fortune seekers added entrepreneurial energy and willingness to take risks for potential rewards. This cultural melting pot creates both opportunities for cooperation and potential sources of conflict as different groups pursue competing interests in the rainforest's vast resource. Trader Sam's establishment serves as an information hub where travelers can learn about current conditions upriver while sharing stories and warnings about dangers they encountered during their journeys. Her extensive network of contacts throughout the Amazon region provides valuable intelligence about everything from seasonal flooding patterns to tribal conflicts that might affect expedition planning. The neutral ground she maintains allows people who might otherwise be enemies to interact safely while conducting business or seeking guidance for their adventures. Her role as cultural mediator helps bridge gaps between different communities that share the river system. The Puka-Mikuna tribe's sustainable relationship with their rainforest environment demonstrates traditional ecological knowledge that enables long-term survival without depleting natural resource. Their agricultural practices work with rather than against forest ecosystems, while their spiritual beliefs emphasize respect for all living things. The tribe's oral traditions preserve important information about medicinal plants, astronomical cycles, and supernatural phenomena that European explorers often dismiss as primitive superstition. Their willingness to share knowledge with respectful visitors like Lily contrasts sharply with their resistance to exploitative outsiders like the conquistadors. Prince Joachim's military background shapes his approach to the Amazon expedition as he applies European battlefield tactics to jungle conditions that require different strategies and survival skills. His submarine crew represents disciplined professional soldiers trained for conventional warfare rather than supernatural encounters with cursed conquistadors and magical trees. The advanced technology at his disposal provides significant advantages in terms of firepower and mobility, but cannot overcome the fundamental mismatch between military thinking and the mystical realities they encounter in the Amazon interior. The conquistadors' supernatural abilities reflect their centuries of imprisonment within the Amazon's magical ecosystem, as the rainforest itself has become part of their cursed existence. Their power to command jungle creatures stems from their forced integration with natural systems rather than mastery over them. Snakes respond to Agira's will because his corrupted body has become a nesting ground for serpents, rather than because he controls them through magical spells. This organic supernatural integration makes them more dangerous than conventional villains, while emphasizing the price of their immortal punishment. The curse's specific limitations create dramatic tension, while maintaining internal story logic that helps audiences accept the supernatural elements without questioning fundamental reality. The conquistadors' dependence on proximity to flowing water provides both their strength and their weakness, as distance from the river causes gradual petrification. This geographical constraint explains why they remain trapped in the Amazon for centuries while creating strategic opportunities for heroes who understand the rule. The curse also prevents them from truly dying, which eliminates conventional solutions while forcing more creative approaches to dealing with their threat. Frank's elaborate tourist deceptions require extensive preparation and maintenance that demonstrate his engineering skills and creative problem-solving abilities developed over centuries of immortal existence. The mechanical hippos must function reliably in humid jungle conditions while creating convincing illusions of danger for passengers seeking. Stage native attacks require careful choreography and timing to maximize dramatic impact without causing actual harm to paying customers. These theatrical productions also serve as cover for his more serious work as a protector of the Amazon and its people. L'Aquila's hidden modifications reflect Frank's centuries of accumulated knowledge about riverboat design and jungle survival, as he has continuously upgraded the vessel to meet changing needs and threats. Secret compartments contain spare parts, emergency supplies, and defensive weapons accumulated over decades of dangerous expeditions. Hidden mechanisms allow him to create spectacular effects for tourists while providing genuine protection against real dangers. The boat's weathered exterior conceals sophisticated engineering that represents a unique blend of Spanish colonial craftsmanship and modern industrial technology. The waterfall's geological formation results from millions of years of natural processes that carve spectacular rock formations, providing both beauty and strategic advantages for the ancient temple builders. The constant flow of water creates acoustic effects that mask sounds from within the hidden chambers, while the mist provides natural camouflage for the entrance passages. The fall's height and volume create impressive visual drama while generating the hydroelectric power that ancient engineers harnessed to operate the temple's mechanical systems. These natural features make the location ideal for protecting the sacred tree while creating memorable cinematic spectacle. The temple's architectural design incorporates advanced understanding of structural engineering that enabled ancient builders to carve stable chambers, and techniques to load-bearing calculations ensure that the massive stone structures can support their own weight, plus additional stresses from earthquakes and geological shifts over centuries of use. Water management systems direct rainfall and river flow away from critical areas, while providing irrigation for the sacred tree's root system. These engineering achievements demonstrate sophisticated mathematical knowledge that rivals modern construction capability. The tiers of the moon's botanical properties exist at the intersection of scientific possibility and magical fantasy, as the tree exhibits characteristics that extend beyond known plant biology while remaining grounded in recognizable natural phenomena. Its root system's electrical activity resembles documented examples of plant communication networks, while exceeding normal parameters in ways that suggest supernatural enhancement. The blood moon's effect on flowering cycles connects to real astronomical influences on plant behavior, while adding mystical elements that enable the tree's healing powers. This blend of science and magic helps audiences accept the fantastic elements without completely abandoning rational understanding. The Temple Guardian's supernatural manifestation draws upon ancient beliefs about spiritual warriors, protecting sacred sites while adapting to seek. Their stone form suggests permanent dedication to defending the tree that transcends normal human limitations of mortality and physical endurance. The Guardians' tactical intelligence reflects their mortal military experience combined with centuries of supernatural observation that allows them to adapt their strategies to different types of threats. Their impartial response to all intruders emphasizes the sacred nature of their charge, rather than political allegiances or personal vendetta. The blood moon eclipse's visual spectacle combines real astronomical phenomena with carefully designed architectural features that create dramatic lighting effects worthy of major motion picture production values. The temple's precisely calculated openings channel the crimson lunar light to illuminate the sacred chamber at exactly the right moment, while creating otherworldly atmospheric conditions. The red glow transforms. These effects enhance the tree's magical properties while providing spectacular visual entertainment for movie audiences. The arrowhead's crystallized gem represents ancient preservation techniques that concentrated the tree's healing essence into portable form, while serving as the key necessary to unlock the full flowering cycle. The crystal's formation suggests previous successful harvests of the tree's power by worthy seekers who understood proper protocol. Its dual function as both storage device and activation mechanism demonstrates sophisticated ancient technology that bridges the gap between science and magic. The gem's red coloration connects it visually to the blood moon while suggesting the concentrated life force contained within its crystalline structure. The final battle's choreography brings together multiple combat styles and supernatural abilities in spectacular action sequences that showcase faction. German military tactics emphasize coordinated firepower and strategic positioning, but prove inadequate against enemies who cannot be killed through conventional weapons. The conquistadors' jungle powers allow them to turn the natural environment into weapons, while their centuries of experience make them formidable individual fighters, despite their corrupted condition. Temple defenses activate according to ancient programming that does not distinguish between different. Frank's sacrifice represents the culmination of his centuries-long character development, as he chooses love and redemption over self-preservation and immortal existence. His decision to block the river demonstrates complete commitment to protecting Lily and preventing the tree's power from falling into wrong hands, regardless of personal cost. The act requires him to abandon the immortal life that has defined his existence while accepting the ultimate vulnerability. His willingness to make this sacrifice proves that genuine transformation is possible even for someone burdened with centuries of guilt and regret. Lily's choice to save Frank rather than pursue scientific glory reveals how personal relationships can fundamentally alter individual priorities and values in ways that transcend rational calculation of costs and benefits. Her decision demonstrates that human connection matters more than professional achievement. The sacrifice also shows how love can inspire acts of selflessness that go beyond normal expectations of romantic relationships. Her willingness to give up the precious flower for Frank's sake proves that she values the person more than the scientific specimen he helped her obtain. The curse's resolution affects all the supernatural elements simultaneously, as the magical bonds that maintain the conquistadors' immortal torment finally dissolve after centuries of punishment. Aguirre and his men achieve the release from supernatural imprisonment they sought, but discover that freedom comes at the ultimate price of their continued existence. The magic that sustained their cursed lives dissipates, leaving them to face final judgment for their historical crimes while acknowledging Frank's superior moral character. Their deaths represent both justice for past atrocities. Frank's return to mortality brings both liberation and challenge, as he must adapt to human limitations he has not experienced for centuries while building a future with Lily, beyond the Amazon that had been both prison and home. The prospect of aging and eventual death requires significant psychological adjustment after immortal existence bound to specific geographical constraints. Physical sensations like fatigue, vulnerability, and the passage of time feel unfamiliar to someone who spent centuries immune to such mortal concerns. But mortality also brings freedom to leave the river's influence and explore possibilities that immortal imprisonment made impossible. The tree's final gift ensures that Lily's scientific mission achieves success while honoring the sacrifice she made to save Frank rather than advance her research. The additional flower provides enough healing essence to begin developing medical applications that could benefit countless people suffering from diseases and injuries that conventional treatment cannot cure. This specimen represents hope for future breakthroughs that will improve human health through scientific advancement rather than supernatural manipulation, while validating Lily's belief in the tree's genuine medicinal potential. McGregor's transformation throughout the adventure demonstrates how challenging experiences can reveal hidden reserves of courage and capability that comfortable circumstances never test. His evolution from pampered aristocrat to competent expedition member shows that people can exceed their own expectations when circumstances demand growth and adaptation. The supernatural elements of their quest challenge his rational worldview, but ultimately expand his understanding of. His development from snobby gentleman to loyal supporter illustrates how genuine friendship can emerge from shared danger and mutual respect. The return journey to civilization provides necessary transition time for processing extraordinary events that have permanently changed all the survivors in profound and lasting ways. Lily helps him understand technological advances and social changes that occurred during his supernatural imprisonment, while adapting her own expectations to accommodate his unique perspective and experience. Their partnership evolves from professional necessity to romantic commitment based on mutual understanding and shared appreciation of impossible challenges overcome through cooperation and sacrifice. The film's treatment of colonial history acknowledges the violence and exploitation that characterized European expansion into indigenous territories, while showing possibilities for redemption and cross-cultural understanding that transcend historical grievances. Frank's transformation from conquistador to protector demonstrates that individuals can choose to reject the destructive patterns of their cultural inheritance through personal moral development and genuine respect. The portrayal suggests that contemporary relationships between different cultural groups can move beyond historical conflicts through mutual recognition of shared humanity and common interests in environmental protection and social justice. The Amazon's portrayal as a living entity deserving protection rather than exploitation reflects contemporary environmental awareness while honoring indigenous spiritual beliefs that recognize the intrinsic value of natural systems beyond their utility to. The rainforest's biodiversity and ecological complexity create both beauty and danger for visitors who must adapt their expectations and methods to conditions that European civilization cannot fully comprehend or control. The film's environmental message emphasizes cooperation with natural forces rather than domination over them, as the path towards sustainable relationships between human communities and wilderness areas. The movie's educational applications extend across multiple academic disciplines while remaining accessible to general audiences through engaging storytelling and memorable characters that bring complex topics to life. Historical elements provide opportunities for discussing colonial expansion, indigenous resistance, and cultural exchange in ways that acknowledge both conflict and cooperation between different groups. Scientific themes explore botanical research, methical considerations. Geographic and anthropological content introduces audiences to Amazon ecosystems and indigenous cultures, while avoiding stereotypes and oversimplification. The film's technical achievements in visual effects and practical filmmaking establish new standards for adventure cinema that balances spectacular action sequences with believable character development and meaningful themes. The integration of computer-generated imagery with practical effects creates seamless fantasy environments that support the story's magical realism without overwhelming the human elements that drive audience engagement. These innovations influence industry approaches to similar productions while demonstrating how advanced technology can serve storytelling rather than substituting for narrative substance and emotional authenticity. Jungle Cruise's commercial success validates continued investment in original adventure stories that can compete effectively with established franchise properties, while offering fresh perspectives on classic genre elements. The film proves that audiences remain interested in well-crafted tales of exploration, discovery, and personal transformation when they are presented with professional skill and genuine enthusiasm for the adventure. Its popularity encourages development of similar projects while showing how familiar story patterns can be revitalized through creative interpretation and contemporary sensibilities about representation, diversity, and social responsibility. The movie's lasting impact on popular culture extends beyond box office performance to influence discussions about gender equality, environmental protection, and historical accountability in mainstream entertainment. Its success demonstrates that adventure films can address serious themes without sacrificing excitement or accessibility, while inspiring audiences to consider their own relationships with nature, history, and social justice. These broader cultural effects validate the film's artistic achievements while suggesting that popular entertainment can contribute meaningfully to important contemporary conversations about human responsibility. The film's international appeal stems from its universal themes of courage, love, and redemption that transcend cultural boundaries while respecting diverse perspectives on adventure storytelling and environmental stewardship. Global audiences connect with Lily's determination to overcome gender barriers and Frank's quest for redemption, regardless of their specific cultural backgrounds or historical experience. The movie's supernatural elements provide entertainment value that appeals to different cultural approaches to magic and folklore, while avoiding stereotypes that might alienate international viewers. This broad accessibility contributes to the film's commercial success across multiple markets and demographic groups. The Amazon's ecosystem complexity provides endless opportunities for spectacular visual storytelling, as the rainforest contains more biodiversity than any other environment on Earth, creating natural drama through predator-prey relationships, seasonal changes, and environmental challenges. The film captures this biological richness through careful attention to authentic wildlife, sounds, plant species, and environmental. Camera work emphasizes the rainforest's vertical layers from forest floor to canopy, while showcasing the intricate relationships between different species that depend on each other for survival. Frank's immortal perspective allows him to witness environmental changes over centuries as colonial industrial development, and modern exploitation gradually transformed the Amazon from pristine territory. His memories encompass the arrival of European diseases that devastated indigenous populations, the rubber boom that brought temporary prosperity, followed by economic collapse, and the ongoing pressure from logging, mining, and agricultural interests that threaten the rainforest's continued existence. This long-term viewpoint provides unique insights into environmental degradation that mortal observers cannot achieve through their limited lifespan. The conquistador's corruption by supernatural forces represents a metaphor for how colonial exploitation corrupts both the exploiters and their victims, while poisoning relationships between human communities and natural environments. Their transformation from human soldiers to jungle monsters reflects the dehumanizing effects of violence and greed that characterize colonial expansion throughout history. The curse that binds them to the Amazon prevents their escape while forcing them to confront the consequences of their actions through centuries of supernatural punishment that mirrors the lasting damage caused by colonial exploitation. Trader Sam's role as cultural mediator reflects the important function played by indigenous women, who often served as interpreters, negotiators, and knowledge keepers during colonial contact periods. Her extensive understanding of both traditional wisdom and modern realities allows her to help different groups navigate cultural misunderstandings while protecting indigenous interests from exploitation. The respect she commands from diverse visitors demonstrates how individual competence and integrity can transcend cultural prejudices while creating opportunities for genuine cooperation between different communities. The film's portrayal of scientific research emphasizes collaboration between different knowledge systems, as Lily's formal academic training combines with indigenous traditional knowledge and Frank's centuries of practical experience to solve problems that no single approach could address alone. This cooperative model suggests that genuine scientific advancement requires humility about the limitations of any particular methodology, while recognizing valuable insights from unpecked source. The approach challenges academic arrogance, while validating indigenous knowledge systems that European colonization often dismissed as primitive superstition. The temple's defensive systems demonstrate sophisticated ancient engineering that integrated mechanical, ingenious, hydraulic, and possibly supernatural elements to create multi-layered protection for the sacred tree. Pressure plates trigger stone guardians, while water channels can flood chambers to eliminate intruders, and hidden passages allow legitimate visitors to bypass dangerous areas when they demonstrate proper understanding of the site's spiritual significance. These defenses suggest that ancient builders possess technical knowledge that rivals modern capabilities while maintaining spiritual connections to natural forces that contemporary civilization has largely abandoned. The blood moon's astronomical significance connects to various cultural traditions that recognize lunar eclipses as times of heightened spiritual power, when boundaries between ordinary reality and supernatural realms become permeable. Different indigenous cultures throughout the Americas developed sophisticated astronomical knowledge that enabled accurate prediction of eclipse cycles for ceremonial and agricultural purposes. The film's use of this celestial event respects these traditions while creating dramatic timing that enhances the story's supernatural elements without appropriating specific cultural practices inappropriately. The arrowhead's layered symbolism functions on multiple levels, as it serves simultaneously as map key and spiritual artifact that connects different time periods and cultural groups through shared recognition of the tree's sacred importance. Its creation required collaboration between master craftsmen and spiritual leaders who embedded both practical navigation information and mystical significance within a single beautiful object. The artifact's survival through centuries of colonial disruption suggests that some forms of indigenous knowledge resist destruction through their intrinsic value and careful preservation by dedicated guardians. The final battle's environmental setting emphasizes how human conflicts pale in significance compared to the natural forces that shape the Amazon over millions of years, while demonstrating the rainforest's power to reclaim human structures when they are abandoned or destroyed. This perspective encourages humility about human importance while emphasizing responsibility for environmental stewardship rather than domination. Frank's mechanical contraptions for tourist entertainment reflect his adaptation to changing economic conditions as the Amazon region developed tourism industries that provided alternatives to more destructive resource extraction activities. His elaborate stagecraft demonstrates creativity and technical skill. The fake dangers he creates provide psychological thrills that satisfy adventure seekers, while protecting both tourists and genuine wilderness areas from the damage that authentic danger tourism might cause. The port town's economic activity illustrates the complex relationships between global markets and local resources as international demand for rubber, ivory, exotic animals, and medicinal plants drives exploration and Amazon territory. European and American merchants bring manufactured goods and capital, while indigenous traders provide local knowledge and access to interior regions that outsiders cannot navigate safely alone. These economic relationships create both opportunities and tensions as different groups compete for control over valuable resources while adapting to changing market conditions and political circumstances. Lily's scientific methodology demonstrates proper research ethics as she seeks to understand the tree's properties through careful observation and analysis, rather than simply harvesting it for immediate commercial exploitation. Her approach respects indigenous knowledge while applying rigorous testing to verify claims about medicinal effectiveness before developing applications that could benefit broader population. This careful methodology contrasts with the conquistadors' violent extraction methods, while suggesting that scientific advancement requires both technical competence and moral responsibility for the consequences of new discoveries. The film's costume design reflects extensive historical research while accommodating the practical demands of adventure filmmaking, as characters must move freely during action sequences while maintaining. Lily's expedition clothing balances Victorian propriety with jungle practicality, while suggesting her independent character through subtle details that distinguish her from conventional feminine fashion. Frank's weathered appearance suggests decades of river experience while concealing hints of his supernatural nature through carefully chosen accessories and modifications that become significant as his story unfolds. The movie's musical score enhances emotional impact while supporting the adventure narrative through themes that represent different characters' locations and supernatural elements without overwhelming dialogue or natural sound effects. Orchestral arrangements evoke both the grandeur of the Amazon landscape and the intimacy of personal relationships, while percussion elements suggest indigenous musical traditions and supernatural tension during dangerous encounters. The score's integration with sound design creates immersive audio environments that transport audiences into the rainforest setting, while maintaining clarity for complex plot developments. The film's marketing campaign emphasized family-friendly adventure while acknowledging more serious themes about environmental protection and cultural respect that give the story deeper meaning beyond simple entertainment. Promotional materials highlighted spectacular action sequences and romantic elements, while introducing audiences to the characters' motivations and the Amazon setting's natural beauty. This approach attracted diverse audiences while preparing them for the film's blend of humor, excitement, and meaningful themes that distinguish it from purely commercial adventure productions. The movie's production schedule required careful coordination between location shooting in multiple countries and studio work that integrated practical effects with computer-generated imagery to create seamless fantasy environments. Weather conditions, equipment transportation, and crew safety considerations complicated filming in authentic jungle locations, while studio work allowed for controlled supernatural elements and elaborate action sequences. The successful integration of these different production approaches demonstrates the filmmaking team's dedication to creating convincing Amazon environments while maintaining professional standards for major studio releases. The film's educational partnerships with environmental organizations and cultural institutions extend its impact beyond entertainment into areas of public awareness and social responsibility. Museum exhibitions featuring Amazon ecology and indigenous cultures provide context for the movie's themes, while educational materials help teachers incorporate the film into science, history, and geography curricula. These partnerships demonstrate how popular entertainment can support broader educational goals while encouraging audiences to learn more about real-world issues highlighted in the fictional narrative. The movie's technological innovations in visual effects advance industry capabilities for creating believable fantasy environments that blend practical and digital elements seamlessly. The supernatural conquistadors required sophisticated makeup and prosthetics, combined with computer enhancement, to create creatures that feel both threatening and tragically corrupted. Environmental effects, including the temple's flooding and the trees' magical blooming, pushed technical boundaries while serving the story's dramatic requirements rather than simply showcasing technological capability for its own sake. The film's international distribution demonstrated global appetite for adventure stories featuring diverse casts and meaningful themes, while proving that original narratives can compete effectively with established franchise properties. Box office performance across different regions revealed audience preferences for authentic character development and environmental themes over purely commercial approaches to adventure filmmaking. These results influence industry decisions about future projects, while validating investment in original storytelling that respects cultural diversity and environmental awareness. The movie's legacy includes inspiration for updated theme park attractions that incorporate film characters and storylines while honoring the original ride's historical significance and nostalgic appeal for multiple generations of visitors. New attraction elements enhance guest experiences through advanced technology and immersive storytelling, while maintaining the sense of adventure and humor that made the original ride beloved. This integration of film and theme park properties demonstrates successful multimedia entertainment strategies that create value across different platforms and audience experiences. The film's influence on adventure cinema extends beyond its immediate commercial success to establish new standards for balancing spectacular action with meaningful character development and social responsibility. Its success encourages other filmmakers to address serious themes, including environmental. This influence helps elevate the adventure genre beyond simple escapism toward more thoughtful exploration of human relationships with nature and each other. The movie's environmental message resonates with contemporary concerns about climate change, deforestation, and biodiversity loss, while avoiding preachy didactic approaches that might alienate audiences seeking entertainment rather than environmental education. The Amazon's portrayal as a living entity deserving protection rather than exploitation, connects to current conservation efforts while respecting indigenous perspectives that recognize intrinsic value in natural systems beyond their utility to human purposes. This approach makes environmental themes accessible while encouraging audiences to consider their own relationships with nature. The film's representation. Lily's character demonstrates intellectual capability, physical courage, and moral leadership, while maintaining feminine identity without conforming to restrictive stereotypes about appropriate behavior for women. Her partnership with Frank creates equality rather than hierarchy, while showing how romantic relationships can enhance rather than diminish individual capabilities and achievements. The movie's treatment of cultural difference emphasizes respect and understanding over conflict and domination, while acknowledging historical realities of colonial violence without excusing or glorifying past injustices. Frank's redemption arc suggests possibilities for overcoming cultural prejudices through personal growth and genuine engagement with different perspectives. The film's contemporary relevance lies in its suggestion that cross-cultural cooperation. The film's technical achievements in cinematography capture both intimate character moments and spectacular natural vistas, while maintaining visual consistency across different locations and production conditions. Camera work emphasizes the contrast between London's constrained urban environment and the Amazon's expansive wilderness, while using lighting and composition to support character development and thematic content. The visual approach serves the story rather than simply showcasing technical capability, while creating memorable images that enhance audience engagement and emotional investment. The movie's sound design creates authentic Amazon environments through careful layering of wildlife, sounds, water movement, and atmospheric effects that transport audiences into the rainforest setting, without overwhelming dialogue or character interaction. Supernatural elements receive distinctive audio treatment that suggests otherworldly forces while maintaining believability within the story's magical realism framework. The integration of music and sound effects supports narrative development while creating immersive experiences that enhance rather than distract from the adventure storytelling. Jungle Cruise ultimately succeeds as both entertainment and meaningful cinema. By combining spectacular, the film demonstrates how popular entertainment can address serious themes without sacrificing accessibility or excitement, while inspiring audiences to consider their own values and responsibilities. Its lasting impact extends beyond box office success to influence discussions about representation, diversity, and environmental stewardship in contemporary culture, while validating continued investment in original storytelling that respects both entertainment traditions and contemporary social awareness. The film's anthropological insights reveal how different cultural groups adapt their storytelling traditions to incorporate new experiences and technologies, while maintaining core spiritual beliefs about humanity's relationship with the natural world. Indigenous Amazon communities have historically integrated foreign elements into their cultural narratives through processes of selective adoption that preserve essential values, while the movie's respectful portrayal of these adaptive processes demonstrates how traditional knowledge systems remain relevant to contemporary challenges while avoiding romanticized notions that freeze indigenous cultures in idealized past conditions. Frank's gradual integration into Amazon ecosystems over centuries of immortal existence illustrates how prolonged contact with natural environments can fundamentally alter human consciousness and behavior. His supernatural bond with the river system extends beyond mere survival to encompass genuine understanding of ecological relationships that most humans never develop during their brief lifespans. This deep environmental connection influences his decision-making processes and moral development as he learns to value ecosystem health over individual desires, while recognizing his responsibility to protect vulnerable species and habitats from external threats. The conquistadors' supernatural abilities manifest through their forced integration with jungle ecosystems, as centuries of imprisonment have literally rooted them within Amazon food webs and elemental cycles. Their power to command snakes emerges from becoming unwilling hosts to serpent colonies, while their control over insects reflects their decomposing bodies' attraction to scavenging species. This grotesque symbiosis creates formidable enemies, while emphasizing the price of their immortal punishment as they have lost essential humanity through unwanted merger with natural processes that normally occur only after death. The temple's astronomical alignments demonstrate sophisticated ancient understanding of celestial mechanics that enabled precise calculation of lunar and solar cycles for ceremonial and agricultural purposes. The builders incorporated multiple astronomical references into their architectural design, including alignments with equinoxes, solstices, and various star formations that marked important seasonal transitions. These calculations required mathematical knowledge that rivals modern astronomical understanding, while serving spiritual purposes that connected human communities to cosmic rhythms that govern natural cycles. Lilly's botanical research methodology reflects contemporary scientific standards, while acknowledging traditional indigenous knowledge systems that European colonization typically dismissed as primitive superstition despite their empirical accuracy and practical effectiveness. Her willingness to learn from Trader Sam and other indigenous knowledge keepers demonstrates intellectual humility that contrasts favorably with academic arrogance that characterizes many colonial scientists. This collaborative approach suggests that genuine scientific advancement requires integration of different knowledge systems, rather than privileging European methods over indigenous wisdom. The film's linguistic diversity reflects the Amazon's status as one of the world's most linguistically complex regions, where hundreds of indigenous languages coexist alongside colonial languages introduced through European expansion and African diaspora community. Characters communicate through multiple languages, including English, Spanish, Portuguese, and various indigenous languages that reflect the region's cultural complexity. The movie's subtitle system and multilingual dialogue create authentic linguistic environments while remaining accessible to international audiences through careful translation that preserves cultural nuances. The port town's architecture combines European colonial styles with essential buildings feature elevated foundations for flood protection, wide verandas for air circulation, and locally sourced materials that reflect both aesthetic preferences and practical necessities. This architectural fusion demonstrates how colonial contact created hybrid cultural forms that incorporated elements from multiple traditions while adapting to specific environmental conditions that European designs could not address adequately. The riverboat's mechanical systems represent ingenious adaptations of industrial technology to Amazon conditions, as Frank has modified conventional steam engines and paddle wheel designs to accommodate shallow water navigation and unreliable fuel supplies. Hidden compartments contain spare parts salvaged from wrecked vessels, while backup systems ensure continued operation despite mechanical failures that would strand. These modifications reflect centuries of practical experience combined with engineering creativity that enables reliable transportation through challenging riverine environments. The film's ethnomusicological elements incorporate authentic Amazon musical traditions through carefully researched instrumental choices and compositional structures that respect indigenous artistic heritage while serving cinematic storytelling purposes. Traditional percussion instruments provide rhythmic foundations that suggest spiritual connections to natural forces, while melodic elements reflect specific cultural traditions associated with different tribal groups. The integration of these authentic musical elements with orchestral scoring creates rich audio textures that enhance cultural authenticity while supporting narrative development and emotional impact. The movie's paleontological accuracy reflects extensive consultation with scientific experts, who ensured that prehistoric elements remain consistent with current understanding of Amazon geological and biological history. Fossil formations visible in temple walls represent authentic species that inhabited the region during different geological periods, while environmental details reflect accurate understanding of how current ecosystems developed over millions of years. This scientific accuracy supports the film's educational potential while grounding fantasy elements in recognizable natural processes that enhance rather than contradict factual knowledge. The supernatural curses, metaphysical properties, operate according to indigenous spiritual concepts that recognize magical forces as natural elements of reality, rather than violations of physical laws. Their eventual release through frank sacrifice demonstrates how redemptive actions can overcome negative karma, while their final dissolution represents spiritual justice that transcends human legal systems, inadequate to address supernatural crimes. The temple's hydraulic engineering systems demonstrate advanced understanding of fluid mechanics that enabled ancient builders to create complex water management networks using gravity-fed systems and mechanical pumps. These systems provide irrigation for the sacred tree while creating defensive flood capabilities that can eliminate intruders who threaten the site's spiritual integrity. The engineering sophistication rivals modern hydraulic projects, while using sustainable technologies that operate indefinitely without external power sources or maintenance requirements that would compromise the temple's hidden security. The film's archaeological authenticity reflects extensive research into actual Amazon archaeological sites that have revealed sophisticated pre-Columbian civilizations with advanced knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and engineering that challenges colonial stereotypes about indigenous intellectual capabilities. Real archaeological discoveries inform the movie's temple design and artifact details, while maintaining fictional elements that serve storytelling. This approach respects scientific accuracy while creating compelling fantasy elements that enhance rather than contradict educational content. Frank's survival skills demonstrate comprehensive knowledge of Amazon ecology, including plant identification, water purification, food procurement, and natural medicine that most modern humans lack despite technological advantages that supposedly make such knowledge obsolete. His ability to navigate using natural landmarks, weather patterns, and animal behavior reflects intimate familiarity with environmental cues that indigenous peoples traditionally used for successful jungle travel. These skills become crucial during crisis situations when technological solutions prove inadequate for survival challenges that require traditional knowledge and practical experience. The Conquistador's armor modifications reflect centuries of environmental adaptation as their metal equipment has been gradually transformed through supernatural processes that integrated organic materials and biological elements. Steel plates now incorporate wood and bone fragments, while joints have been sealed with tree resin and organic compounds that enhance flexibility while maintaining protective functions. These modifications create distinctive visual appearances that suggest both technological sophistication and supernatural corruption, while demonstrating how military equipment adapts to environmental conditions over extended periods. The film's meteorological accuracy incorporates authentic Amazon weather patterns, including seasonal rainfall cycles, atmospheric pressure changes, and storm systems that affect river navigation and jungle travel conditions. The movie's attention to meteorological detail enhances authenticity, while providing opportunities for dramatic tension and character development that emerge naturally from environmental challenges, rather than artificial obstacles created solely for entertainment purposes. The sacred tree's root system extends throughout the temple complex, creating a biological network that functions as both structural support and communication system that connects different chambers and passive. The root's electrical activity enables the tree to monitor temple conditions while responding to threats through defensive mechanisms that complement mechanical and supernatural protection systems. This biological integration demonstrates sophisticated understanding of plant biology, while suggesting spiritual connections between living systems and architectural structures that traditional indigenous cultures recognize but European rationalism typically dismissed. The temple's ventilation systems maintain air quality throughout underground chambers, while creating acoustic effects that enhance spiritual atmosphere during ceremonial activities. Natural convection currents move fresh air through carefully designed passages while carrying away moisture and carbon dioxide that could create dangerous conditions in enclosed spaces. The acoustic design amplifies certain frequencies while dampening others to create sound environments that support meditation and spiritual practices, while preventing sound leakage that might reveal the temple's location to unauthorized visitors. The film's attention to indigenous textile traditions incorporates authentic weaving patterns, dyeing techniques, and material choices that reflect specific cultural groups, artistic heritage, appropriation. Costume details reference real textile traditions without copying sacred patterns or ceremonial garments that should remain within their original cultural contexts. This respectful approach demonstrates how films can honor indigenous artistic traditions while maintaining cultural sensitivity that avoids exploitation or misrepresentation of sacred elements. The riverboat's defensive modifications include hidden weapons systems and armor plating that Frank added over decades of dangerous navigation through territories controlled by hostile forces including modern pirates, colonial military units, and supernatural threats. Concealed gun ports and reinforced hull sections provide protection against conventional attacks while special modifications address supernatural dangers that normal defensive system. These preparations reflect practical experience with diverse threats, while maintaining the vessel's tourist-friendly appearance that conceals its true capabilities. The port town's economic systems reflect complex relationships between global markets, local resource extraction, and indigenous economic traditions that create both opportunities and tensions as different groups compete for control over valuable commodities. These economic relationships drive much of the regional conflict, while providing context for character motivations and plot developments that emerge from realistic economic pressures rather than artificial dramatic contrivances. The film's entomological accuracy incorporates authentic Amazon insect species and their ecological roles, while using these creatures for both realistic environmental details and supernatural plot elements. The conquistadors' control over insect swarms reflects actual insect behavior patterns, while exaggerating their responsiveness to human commands for dramatic effect. Authentic species identification and behavioral accuracy enhance educational value while supporting fantasy elements that remain grounded in recognizable natural phenomena rather than completely artificial magical systems. The temple's preservation techniques Ancient preservation methods protect organic materials from decay while ensuring that mechanical systems continue functioning after centuries of operation. These techniques demonstrate sophisticated understanding of material science and environmental engineering, while suggesting knowledge systems that contemporary civilization is only beginning to rediscover through modern archaeological and conservation research. The sacred tree's medicinal properties reflect authentic Amazon ethnobotanical knowledge about plants with genuine healing capabilities, while exaggerating these effects for fantasy storytelling purposes. Many Amazon plant species possess confirmed medicinal value that indigenous peoples have utilized for centuries before European scientific validation. The movie's portrayal respects this traditional knowledge while creating dramatic healing effects that serve plot requirements without misrepresenting actual plant capabilities or encouraging dangerous self-medication based on fictional portrayals. The film's transportation logistics demonstrate the challenges of moving people and equipment through Amazon terrain where conventional vehicles cannot operate effectively, and river transport provides the only reliable method for reaching. Canoe construction, river navigation techniques, and cargo loading strategies reflect authentic practices developed by indigenous peoples and adapted by colonial settlers. These practical details enhance authenticity while creating opportunities for character development and plot complications that emerge naturally from environmental constraints rather than artificial obstacles. The movie's cultural anthropology elements explore how different societies adapt their social structure Indigenous communities demonstrate flexibility and resilience while maintaining core cultural values through selective adoption of foreign elements that enhance rather than replace traditional practices. This portrayal avoids both romanticization and victimization narratives while recognizing indigenous peoples' agency and adaptability in responding to historical challenges. The Conquistador's psychological deterioration reflects authentic understanding of how prolonged isolation, extreme stress, and guilt can affect human mental health, while adding supernatural elements that exaggerate these natural processes for dramatic effect. Their centuries of imprisonment have created obsessive behaviors and paranoid thinking patterns, while their supernatural abilities provide outlets for rage and frustration. This psychological authenticity grounds the fantasy elements in recognizable human experiences while creating memorable antagonists. The temple's educational systems preserve indigenous knowledge through carved symbols, written records, and mechanical devices that function as teaching tools for initiating qualified individuals into sacred mysteries surrounding the tree's proper use. These educational materials demonstrate sophisticated information storage and transmission methods that enabled ancient cultures to maintain complex knowledge systems across generations without written languages that Europeans considered essential for civilization. The approach respects indigenous intellectual traditions. The approach devices that serve storytelling purposes. The film's geological accuracy reflects current understanding of Amazon geological history, including rock formations. The temple's location utilizes authentic geological features, while the waterfall's formation reflects actual processes that create such spectacular natural phenomena. This scientific accuracy supports educational applications while providing realistic foundations for fantasy elements that enhance rather than contradict factual geological knowledge. Frank's linguistic abilities demonstrate how extended contact with diverse cultural groups. His centuries of existence have allowed him to learn numerous indigenous languages alongside European colonial languages, while developing cultural sensitivity that enables effective communication across different worldviews and social systems. These linguistic skills become crucial for mediating conflicts and building alliances that normal tourists could not achieve during brief visits. The movie's pharmacological elements incorporate authentic understanding of how plant-based medicines work at cellular and molecular levels, while exaggerating these effects for fantasy storytelling that requires miraculous healing capabilities beyond current medical understanding. The portrayal respects legitimate ethnobotanical research while creating dramatic healing scenes that serve plot requirements without encouraging dangerous misuse of actual medicinal plants that require preparation. And Jungle Cruise achieves lasting cultural significance through its successful integration of spectacular entertainment with thoughtful exploration of environmental responsibility, cultural respect, and personal transformation themes that resonate across different audiences and cultural contexts. The film demonstrates how popular adventure stories can address serious contemporary issues while maintaining accessibility and excitement that attract diverse viewers to meaningful discussions about humanity's relationship with nature and each other in an interconnected world, facing environmental and social challenges that require collective action and mutual understanding. Frank's centuries of guilt manifest in small gestures and facial expressions that suggest the weight of his past actions, while his growing attraction to Lily represents hope for redemption that he had abandoned long ago. McGregor's aristocratic facade gradually crumbles under jungle pressures that force him to confront his own limitations and dependencies, while discovering unexpected reserves of courage and loyalty that surprise. The Amazon's seasonal variations create different environmental challenges throughout the year as water levels fluctuate dramatically between wet and dry periods that affect navigation routes, wildlife behavior, and plant growth cycles. The film's timeline coincides with transition periods when river conditions become unpredictable, while animal migration patterns bring both opportunities and dangers for human travelers. These natural rhythms influence character decisions and plot developments while demonstrating how successful Amazon exploration requires understanding and adaptation to environmental cycles, rather than imposing external schedules and expectations. The supernatural elements blend seamlessly with realistic adventure components through careful attention to internal logic and consistent rules that govern magical phenomena without contradicting established natural laws or creating arbitrary. The Conquistador's curse operates according to specific limitations and requirements, while the tree's healing properties follow predictable patterns that characters must understand and respect. This systematic approach to fantasy elements maintains believability while creating opportunities for creative problem-solving that relies on character intelligence rather than magical convenience. The temple's cultural significance extends beyond its function as protection for the sacred tree to encompass broader spiritual meanings related to humanity's relationship with natural forces and cosmic cycles that govern life and death throughout the universe. Ancient builders incorporated multiple layers of symbolism into architectural details that reflect sophisticated understanding of astronomy, mathematics, and engineering, while serving these spiritual dimensions add depth to the adventure narrative, while respecting indigenous worldviews that recognize sacred connections between physical and metaphysical realms. The film's dialogue achieves naturalistic authenticity, while advancing plot and character development through conversations that reveal personality traits, cultural backgrounds, and emotional states without seeming forced or artificial. Frank's humor emerges from his centuries of experience with human nature, while Lily's scientific vocabulary reflects her educational background and intellectual approach to problem-solving. Character-specific speech patterns and vocabulary choices enhance authenticity while maintaining accessibility for diverse audiences who may not share the characters' cultural or educational backgrounds. The movie's editing rhythms balance action sequences with quieter character moments through pacing that allows audiences to process complex plot developments while building toward climactic confrontations that resolve multiple narrative threads simultaneously. Quick cuts during battle scenes maintain excitement without becoming chaotic, while longer takes during emotional scenes provide space for character development and relationship building. Transition sequences between different locations and time periods use visual and audio cues that maintain story continuity while providing necessary exposition through environmental details rather than explicit narration. The production's commitment to practical effects wherever possible creates tangible environments and creatures that enhance authenticity while providing actors with real elements to interact with during performance. Physical sets, mechanical contraptions, and makeup effects ground the fantasy elements in material reality, while computer-generated enhancements extend rather than replace practical work. This hybrid approach creates believable, magical realism that supports the story's themes while demonstrating respect for traditional filmmaking craftsmanship that values physical artistry alongside digital innovation.